Bill Belichick hasn't signed his UNC contract. Does that mean he's eyeing an NFL job? Ladies and gentlemen, today, the Pat McAfee Show with Michael Lombardi on the right. Interesting situation. Okay, so we covered this when Bill Belichick signed as the next head coach of UNC. Belichick's contract was very unique. It was very interesting in the sense that he had a little window where he could get out of the contract and they would only pay him like $1 million in the buyout. Like, it wasn't much. So there was a timeline there. And ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are hearing some background noise, that is not a mythological monster or a creature or Godzilla or a dinosaur. That is construction happening downtown New Orleans. It's happening because of the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's just an unbelievable thing. They're destroying concrete, light poles, just everything is going up. Everything is going down. So, my apologies. We've done all we can do. But that is what is going on outside. So if you hear that.
Eyes on. How you doing down there in North Carolina? Still doing college football, huh?
We are doing good. We're out recruiting. Everybody's on the road. Coach Belichick is on the road. He's in D.C. today. In spite of all the stories trying to say that he's not working and here and contract, all that, Coach is on the road recruiting. He's in Baltimore. He's in actually D.C. today. He'll be in Baltimore tomorrow. And we're trying to get some players to become Tar Heels. We're excited.
Okay, so
now I think this is one of those things where it's true until it's not true. Like, I think Belichick right now is planning on being the coach of North Carolina. I think Michael Lombardi is planning on being the GM of North Carolina. I think all that is true. But I also believe if Tom Brady called Belichick and said, "Hey, you want to come be the head coach of the Raiders?" I think Belichick would give it a serious listen. And if he would give it a serious listen, I think that's enough to be concerned if you are a UNC fan of hey, this isn't set in stone. All right. So it would be kind of funny, honestly, if like they bought all this, North Carolina blue suits and shirts, and Lombardi's got his row back, North Carolina pullover, and they all changed their profile pictures and all that. And if Belichick said, actually, I'm going to the Raiders. And then everyone's like, damn, man, I just got this apartment. Like, I have a lease for 6 months. Like, what do you want me to do, man?
Let's talk about all of this because there's so many different layers to this. Other teams that are recruiting the same guys that you guys are recruiting are definitely using these reports against you guys, I assume, in recruiting, which is why you have been so loud and adamant about the fact that you guys are committed to the North Carolina football team. Is that an accurate assessment on the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm loud because I think so many of them, especially the one that keeps going on, is being generated by someone who doesn't like our program, doesn't like me or like Coach Belichick, and refuses to allow it to go. It's Parcells used to say to me all the time, quit kicking the horse, he's already dead. Well, they keep quick kicking something that doesn't exist, And so it's click for their website, which is wonderful, and then they take shots at us as individuals. But look, somebody has to stand up for our program, right? And somebody has to be able to put their voice into the program. Everyone says, well, why isn't Bill speaking out? Bill doesn't speak out. That's what I'm supposed to do as the general manager here, is to let people know what's going on with our program. He's not going anywhere. Contracts are very complicated. And I think if you understand the North Carolina system, it is a state institution. It takes a while to get things done. There's a lot of hurdles to go through. But we're all getting paid. I haven't signed my contract yet, Pat. I mean, so this is just
I have a sneaky feeling if Tom Brady called and said, hey, Mike Lombardi, you want to be the GM of the Raiders? Hey, you and Bill want to come on down here? I think they would listen. So, again, I take what Lombardi's saying as truth, but there is that window where it could become untrue very quickly.
Complete story that people want to run with. I've said this many times. I was with Bill every day in the offseason during the fall. We talked about every single NFL job that could open up. And every time I would bring one up with hopes that he would be interested, he shot it down. He's where he wants to be, and I know it's hard to get it through some of these thick people's heads that he wants to be somewhere else. Like, this is where he wants to be. And I am not just a spokesman, but I'm telling you exactly how it is.
Well, I think it's a believable narrative, especially with what you hear from all the older coaches in college ball about how miserable it is having to do college football. But what Bill was pitching to us was basically like, hey, it's pro football now. This is actually in our wheelhouse more so than it's ever been, probably, right?
Yeah, I don't have an owner that's going to come down here and tell me what to do. I don't have an owner's son who's going to tell me we need to look at Pro Football Focus more often. I don't have any of that, right? I don't have that. I can watch tape. I can look at players. We can recruit. I mean, it's really the perfect, and he can build this program, and he can impact young men more the future and for today. And if you want to be a pro player and you want to understand what a pro organization looks like, here we are. All this.
Now, I do think, like what Lombardi's saying about, you know, he has to speak up and he has to be the one who says something. I agree with that too, because yeah, this is going to obviously hurt recruiting. The follow-up to that would be, this has gotten to the point to where Bill probably does need to say something. Like Belichick probably does need to get out in front of a camera and say, like, do a contract signing, even if it is purely symbolic, even if it doesn't mean anything, even if you just take the contract and throw it away. Belichick needs to be seen or heard of, hey, nope, I'm not taking this job. I'm not taking the Raiders job. I'm not taking the Saints job. I'm not taking blank job. I am staying in North Carolina. I will sign this contract. I will do this. Don't worry about it. If you're a recruit, I will be here. The team will be here. The coaching staff will be here.
It's nonsense. Well, they haven't hired any coaches, and the ACC is nervous. Oh, they're nervous, all right. I hired a whole personnel department over here. They're winding tape. We built a whole pro organization with a pro grading system, and they're all over there grinding tape. And then we've hired coaches as we go along. I don't understand how people can keep generating a story that has no story to it.
Okay, so you've agreed to terms, right? You've agreed to terms on a contract, you and Bill both, with the North Carolina. That has to get approved by a lot of different parties, so we kind of got that figured out. College ball isn't more miserable for you guys. You actually see it the opposite way because you don't have to deal with a looming billionaire who has different ideas. Recruiting, he's on the road right now, doesn't hate it at all, actually likes it.
No, loves it. I mean, he really enjoys it, and the reception's been wonderful. You know, it's been really good. He goes out there, he meets all the kids, and then we've been able to put some offers. We haven't been. We've kind of got. We came in here behind. You know, we need to build a draft board or a high school board. We need to build a portal board, and we're trying to do it on a line item basis, which is difficult. But we will find smart, tough, dependable kids that want to be a part of a pro program. There's plenty of them out there.
Yeah, I don't know why people would think Bill Belichick would leave a program like middle of the night for another program. It's just not something Bill Belichick would do. You know what I mean? Like if he, let's just say hypothetically, if he was coaching an NFL team and he agreed to be their head coach, he would be their head coach. He wouldn't, like, hypothetically again, he wouldn't jet set like in the middle of the night from one team to another team. He wouldn't entertain the offers of one team while he was another head coach. He certainly wouldn't, like, if he went, again, hypothetically, if he went and did like a press conference and said, like, I am the coach of this team, I'm not the coach of the other team, you should believe him, because man of his word, he's never ever showed that he would flip-flop on a team or a program.
Okay, so jot that one off. We're checking a lot of these boxes here that would make sense on why Bill would want to go. You haven't got a complete coaching staff yet, but you have an entire pro personnel group, which I think is very new for college ball. So what you're saying is, instead of reporting that we've actually pieced together the most important part of modern ball, you keep reporting about the coaching staffs. We'll get to that is kind of the thought, right? There's a process here on what we need to do, a timeline on it all?
Yeah. Well, first of all, people don't understand the NFL rules, right? So after 2 weeks, when the coaches are not in the playoffs, you can actually go talk to them if they're free agents. So we wanted to wait and see how many coaches who are working in the NFL who want to be here. And our phones have a lot of contacts on that. And then also we wanted to see what some of the college coaches who were available. We thought building a staff was probably the last thing we needed to do. We need to improve the talent pool here at North Carolina. That was really important to us. And so we needed to build a system of operation within this department. We needed processes and systems put in place so that we're just not randomly offering players. And we had to hire certain people to get that.
I will say this, like I hope they stay at North Carolina, because this would be an all-time bad look. All-time bad look if they end up going back to the pros. I mean, and you know, like I understand college has changed a little bit, where college is much more like the pros, but it would just be so bad for the players. You know, it would just be so bad for the students and any of the recruits who either wasted time or maybe even said they were going to go to North Carolina, or like it would be one of the most selfish moves that everyone saw coming, and this would make it so much worse. And again, like, instead of sending Lombardi out here to do this, Belichick should have done this. Belichick should have had a speech or a press conference or something where he put all this to bed, because until we hear from him or until they kick off in week 1, like, people are still going to link Belichick to jobs.
We had to hire a strength coach, right? So we hired the former New England strength coach, Moses, who's down here, and then he had to hire a staff, and now his entire staff is in place. And so now we can start our off-season program. Hiring the receiver coach, hiring the O-line coach, we were going to wait until the time was right, till we got everybody in the building so that all the staffs could work together, interview those people at one time. We're not just throwing this out there. This is well thought out. I mean, the guy's won 6 Super Bowls. He's put together a staff before.
Okay, so on all of those notes there, I think in college ball, the position coaches can't even really coach yet. Anyways, the weight room is the most important part, because that is the off-season program in there. You're going to have to get a staff before, obviously.
I'll give McAfee this. He's doing some suckling. I'll give McAfee this. He is doing the best PR he can do for his boy.
The football aspect of it all comes back into the college calendar. On that note, Coach Pagano has a couple questions.
Hey, Lombo, I'm sure a lot of the pushback, you know, the narratives, the talk about Bill, you know, the contract and going back to the National Football League, until you do get a bunch of coaches hired, I'm sure you're having to go into these high schools and these homes, you're talking to these recruits, and they're asking you, okay, we know who the defensive coordinator is going to be, right? It's going to be Steve. Who's the D-line coach? Who is the O-line coach? Who's the receiver coach? You guys know, you have a good idea. I see you guys brought in Mike Prefer. Now, what a get that is. I mean, you got 20-plus years of experience at the National Football League, right, coaching at the – I love Coach Prefer. I thought he was unbelievable when he was coaching special teams. So you got a good one there. Talk to us a little bit about that one, and then just how you're defending, you know, Bill and the rest of your, you know, process about hiring guys and why you're taking so long, and how you're – you know, keeping these coaches and these high school, you know, keep them on the hook so people aren't killing you and recruiting with that.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Prefer, you know, a Naval Academy graduate, would put him at the top of the list for Coach Belichick, so that's important. And, you know, all the NFL experience. Plus, for your special teams coach, you want somebody that understands player personnel, because it's, as you guys all know, it's a matchup game. You know, you want to make sure you have the right guys in the kicking game, and I think Coach here is outstanding. What I don't think people truly understand about Coach Belichick and the system that he's put in place, it's a head coach driven system. So everything that we do here starts and ends with the head coach's offense. That doesn't mean nobody has a voice. We all have a voice. We all have the ability to share our.
No, I think everybody pretty much expected that. I think everybody pretty much expected that Belichick would run the show, and it would be basically his decisions across the board.
Information, but everything is being channeled through him. We're not an independent contractor organization. The wide receiver coach isn't going to just arbitrarily pick all the players he wants and not tell anybody. Or the D-line coach. This is going to be a process like the NFL. We're going to build a board, and ultimately, Coach Belichick and myself, we're going to grade all the players who we offer scholarships to, and then we're going to go out and recruit them. So we're a different model than a lot of teams where the head coach is somewhat of a overseer. No, our head coach runs the entire program. And I think we have to explain that to kids. We have to explain that, yes, that you're going to have a relationship with your receiver coach or your running back coach. But the reality of it is, if that coach leaves, we're not changing our systems. We're not changing our protocols. We're not changing our process. We're going to get someone who's going to come in and fulfill the requirements of that job because the head coach is still here. That's the part we have to drive home. I think that's unique in college football.
I don't know, man. It sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. Like, this just sounds like, even that right there. It's like, imagine being a quarterback, a high school quarterback, and being like, all right, hey, who's going to be the offensive coordinator? And then Lombardi being like, well, actually, what you don't understand is that it doesn't really matter who the offensive coordinator is, because Bill Belichick is here, and he's ultimately going to be, here anyway. So why does it matter who the offensive coordinator is? It's like, well, is Belichick going to call the offensive plays? Well, no, but, is he designing the offense? Well, probably not, but, well, then shouldn't I care who the offensive coordinator is? Well, see, what you have to understand about what we're trying to do here is something that you've never seen before, where we're building the infrastructure of an NFL team and the personnel. So really, if you look at it that way, then it really shouldn't matter. And I wouldn't worry about that. So that sounds exactly like someone trying to sell you a timeshare. Sounds exactly about someone trying to sell you some random, vegetable powder juice. Like, it just, I don't know, man. Something about this just feels off. Something about this just screams like shell company, pyramid scheme. I don't know. I give Lombardi credit for sticking his neck out on the line if but I don't know. But we'll see. Until they kick the ball off up there in North Carolina, you're going to hear a lot more of this, ladies and gentlemen. So let me know in the comments below what you think. You think Belichick's playing 4D chess, or do you think he really is going to be the head coach of North Carolina? Let me know. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.